Hi, my name is Mary Romac. I'm with Preferred Shore Real Estate Group, and I am so delighted that you've decided to join us today to learn more about the home buying process. I am joined today by Kerry Moen from Core Financial, and we are going to be discussing the way to get from the pre-approval process all the way to closing in a smooth fashion. Kerry, would you like to share a little bit about yourself and Core Financial for our guests?
Absolutely. My name's Kerry. Again, I'm with Core Financial. I've been in the financial industry about 20 years now. Core Financial is a local Florida-owned brokerage. So what that means is instead of going to just one bank, we have access to about 20 different lenders. So based on each individual client's needs, in that loan scenario, the house that they're buying, we have different avenues of where to place that loan.
Great, thank you so much. Some of the questions that come up from folks that are purchasing homes for the first time, and maybe even those that are purchasing new homes along the way, is what do they need to know in order to make their home purchasing process as smooth as possible? How do they get to the closing table with peace of mind?
So the first start would be getting pre-approved, gathering all of your documents, your pay stubs, bank statements, any assets you have, making sure that everything in that whole portfolio is staying the same. You never want to quit your job. You don't want to sell something and deposit cash into your bank, no large purchases. Pretty much along those lines. As long as from application to closing, you keep everything consistent, make sure that up front you've gathered all your documents and you're completely pre-approved and that you're shopping for the right price range house. You might be surprised what you do and or do not qualify for.
Oh, interesting. Do you have any examples about something like that that might help folks understand the what they might be approved for versus what they think they might be approved for?
So a lot of times what happens is somebody says, okay, I can pay X amount a month, so that's what I should be approved for. We go off of their debt to income, meaning their total income and then their total debt liabilities. So things that are listed on their credit reports, credit cards, car payments, we have to take all of that into account. And that's how we can figure out what they qualify for as their monthly mortgage payments. So sometimes what you qualify for may be more or less than what you would actually like to spend. Sometimes people say, for instance, I've been paying, $1,800 in rent, I can afford it. Well, unfortunately, your income doesn't warrant that $1,800. We need to stick to a max payment of $1,400. Even though that's what you've been paying, you only qualify for X amount.
Okay, very good to know. Something that all the more reason to sit down either virtually to speak with you or in person and cover all of those details to make sure that our clients are fully aware of the things that they can afford and the reasons for that. So what are some of the things that are required? You may have covered some of this already for pre-approval. What are some of the things that are required for that process?
So for pre-approval, we would go over your employment history. We need to go back 2 years over the employment history. If you've changed jobs multiple times, we may have to reach out to the prior employers and get what they call a verification of employment, listing your start date, end dates, how you were paid. We would gather current pay stubs from where you're working over a month's time period. So if you're paid whether weekly, bi-weekly, and then there may be additional things if you're not hourly and you have commissions along those lines that we need to see, a couple years past to make sure that those commissions are lining up. If we have things that are going in a downward trend, sometimes we're not able to use all of your income. So we really have to get that whole package, and each person's different, whether they're hourly, salary, they're on commission pay, they have bonuses, overtime. So we really need to get all that together and analyze that.
Mm-hmm. Would any of that change depending on how much somebody was putting down? If they're putting, 50% down, if they're putting 20% down, 5% down, is there any variation to what's required um, for the process?
There's going to be a little bit of a variation depending on the loan program that we're going through. But as far as the income, we really need to make sure what they consider is that we've had the history and that it's also stable, continuing to go forward, and nothing's going in a downward trend.
Okay.
So we just want to make sure if you're working part-time for the past 2 years and you're still working part-time, we can use that to qualify. But say you're working 30 hours and then 20 hours, and now we're only at 10 hours, the lender kind of looks at it a little bit differently than somebody that's, worked consistent over the last 2 years.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And I know you're local to Florida, and you've said that you've been here and working in this area for a long time. Why is it important to choose a local lender rather than some of those internet-based lenders?
Kind of like with everything, you're supporting locally, you're keeping things local, you're keeping your money local. We have our office has been open since 2006, locally owned and operated. The owner has a native Floridian, which is rare to find. But at that same time, you're getting somebody that if you don't know them, more than likely somebody else within your circle does. You can call us. We're available nights and weekends. You're not calling into an 800 number where every time you call, you're going to get a different individual. You're going to get true, honest, educated answers from us when we speak with you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then in terms of rates and things like that, they should be comparable, I'm guessing, regardless of whether it's of yourself or an internet-based company?
Absolutely. So most of the time, we can find better rates because we have the availability to shop around. But instead of having to go to 10 different places and your credit pulled 10 different times, we pull your credit one time and we do that shopping for you and find the best place that suits your needs and your interest rate that we can get you.
Okay, perfect. And then after contract signing, so after they've signed the contract for the home, they found it, and you've already gone through the pre-approval process, what are some of the things that the homeowner or home purchaser should avoid between the time of contract signing and when they actually close on that particular home? I'm going to pause it.
All right, so between signing that actual contract and closing, we never want to change anything. As far as quitting a job, you can change jobs. Sometimes it makes things a little bit more complicated, so you always want to consult with somebody prior to doing anything of employment changes. You also don't want to go out and purchase anything new. No car shopping. Some people like to go out, it's a new house, they want to buy new furniture. We always want to wait until closing. After that's done, then go, if you need to get into a new car, you want to go buy new furniture. You don't want to change anything within your whole credit, income, employment portfolio.
Okay, good to know. Yeah. And what is the normal time for the pre-approval? I mean, once they sit down with you, either virtually or in person, and give you all of the documentation, what is the normal process or time frame?
Most of that time frame, I'm going to say, is put on the client. They can either fill out an application online and upload documents or provide documents to me and I can put them in. If I have a complete package, within the same day.
Oh, wow.
9 times out of 10, we have most of it, but we don't have all of it. So we're not able to complete that pre-approval without seeing kind of proof and backing up everything that we've been told. So the pre-approval is really quick from the time we have all of the documents in-house.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then what is the normal time frame from contract signing to close?
Some of that kind of depends on the loan type and where we're at. Typically, we can get to closing within about 3 weeks.
Okay.
When COVID started, we've had some additional overlays. You've got a lot more people that are working from home, and some of these timeframes have been, delayed out a little bit. So we're closer to 4 to 5 weeks. But again, a lot of it just depends on the client, and as things are needed, if they're gotten in a timely manner, then we're still pretty solid at about 3 weeks.
Wow, that's great. And does that compare with most lending organizations, or do you think that that's probably a
individual banks right now are a little bit longer? I heard somebody had called me for a refinance, and we got it done in about 3 weeks. When she called, she was quoted between 5 to 6 at a local credit union.
Okay. And maybe you already addressed this, but how do you differ from a local bank in terms of the opportunities that you have for your buyers or your clients?
So each bank has additional guidelines above and beyond what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have. With that, we have 20 different banks. So instead of only having one bank, one set of rules, one guidelines, if you don't fall into it, you're denied. With us, it might not work there, but we've got 19 other places that we can go. So if something happens along the way, maybe a hiccup of some type, we can always redirect instead of having to start back over.
Okay, that's very helpful, beneficial for the client. Only have to go to one person to have all of their needs met, as opposed to bouncing around from one bank to another or one credit union to another, it sounds like. And also,
yes,
isn't there a negative to having your credit report pulled several times as well?
You will see a change in your score to where if you've only got to pull it that one time, it's going to be more beneficial to you. They say that if you pull it within 30 days, it only has the impact of one person pulling it, but I've seen, unfortunately, to the contrary.
Okay. And then what is the application fee for the pre-approval process?
We do not charge an application fee. We don't charge any fees. We're actually paid for by the lender. So when you come to us for a pre-approval, there's no upfront fees that you'll be charged. Everything is paid for us at closing, and it's paid by the lender. You don't pay anything to use us as a local mortgage broker.
Okay, that's great. And then, Kerry, those were, I think, most of the questions that I have. However, have I overlooked some important fact or information that you feel would be valuable for our viewers to know about from the lending perspective?
I think you've pretty much covered everything. Just kind of recap, we are a local mortgage brokerage, so we do have access to FHA, conventional, VA, USDA. We actually do have a hard money lender as well, in case it's somebody that has the assets but not the credit to qualify. Pretty much if it can be done, we can help them, and we've got different avenues to go through.
Okay, that's great. So Kerry, how should folks get in touch with you when they are ready to start that pre-approval process? That's a tongue twister sometimes.
You can find me on Facebook, and you can also give me a call, 941-920-4278.
And then any website information at all that you want to share?
Everything's mainly through Facebook.
Okay. That's
and linked with that.
And then Kerry Moen, or do we go by Core Financial?
Kerry Moen, Core Financial.
Okay, all right, great. And well, I think that covers our discussion for today. My name is Mary Romac with Preferred Shore Real Estate Group, and I'd be honored and thrilled to assist you in navigating the real estate maze. So feel free to call me at 941-735-9122, or you can also find my website at findmyhomesarasota.com. Look forward to connecting with you. And thank you again, Kerry, for this time and for meeting with us today to discuss the lending process. So
absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.